great pleasure to invite Dr. Khalid Rahman, Chairman, Institute of Policy Studies, Islamabad. He has agreed to speak on trends in Afghanistan. Where do we go from here? A most timely topic for all of us. Over to you, Dr. Khalid Rahman.
Thank you, dear moderator, Ambassador Rajiv Bhatia. I would like to also thank the organizers, NIICE, and I also noticed around a quarter of a century number of organizations who are supporting this very important initiative. In fact, this shows how successful NIICE is in doing whatever its name reflects. It's also a pleasure for me that I listened to my old friend, Ambassador Nakandala, before this particular moment. It has been a long while that we are meeting in these conferences, and we always found that there are a lot of things on which we share our feelings. Coming to the topic, let me begin by highlighting a universal truth. And that truth is that change is an inevitable factor and the only constant in human life. It is also a universal observation, and all of us are witness to it, that although even the smallest changes may trigger a chain reaction, some of them are regarded as historical, not simply because of the amount of change, but owing to the potential spread of their ripples and the far-reaching impact they create. What we are witnessing today in Afghanistan, who is a member of SAARC also, is a change of this very nature. It is historical and will have far-reaching impact not only in Afghanistan and in the region, but allow me to say globally as well, in view of the prevailing political and strategic dynamics. Yet, as we all know, the state of affairs in Kabul is still in flux. Certainly, it will take a few more days or weeks or even longer to fully settle. Hence, predicting the future at this stage should be taken only as an exercise rather than a forecast. That said, a number of things appear to be settled now. Let me list a few of them. First, after peacefully entering in Kabul, Taliban are making moves to consolidate their position. They have announced and practically demonstrated journal amnesty, while persisting with their ideology, though I would say in a low tone. They have denounced some of their past actions and showing keenness for an inclusive government. My second point in this regard is the longest US military engagement in a war has come to an end. Americans, along with their allies, did whatever they could do to destroy the Taliban and thus have a permanent political hold in the region. They, however, remained unsuccessful. In the process, and it is being repeated time and again all over the world in the media and in intellectual discourses, they spent more than $2 trillion and lost around 2,500 soldiers from the US. Their so-called efforts to build Afghan nation and establish a system of their own choice also failed. My third point in this regard is that by using the most destructive technology, They also killed around 250,000 Afghans, and Pakistanis also lost lives numbering around 80,000, and I would regard them mostly innocent. They did not commit gross human rights violations, but also war crimes and hugely violated international laws. Still, it was strange to see them panicked while planning their exit during last almost 3 years, close to 3 years, because they started negotiations in late 2017 and come to a negotiated settlement in 2020. I would say they started in 2018 and they signed the peace deal in 2020, and then there were again 15 months available to them, but they appeared panicked while planning and later actually leaving Afghanistan. The greatest loss, this is my fourth point with regard to the settled issues, I would say, the greatest loss suffered by the US is of its goodwill, whatever little it had. Its inability to provide a genuine global leadership was further highlighted. Its double standards were further exposed. The internal weaknesses of the US system also have become evident in this process. And among these settled issues, what I would like to highlight at the end, fifth point, the inabilities and shortcomings of the global governance have once again been highlighted. The campaign lasting 20 years started in the name of war on terrorism, continued without even a consensus on the definition of terrorism. The UN was, all these years, seen being practically used as a rubber stamp to operationalize what was intended or planned by the powerful players for their interests. This backdrop, I would say, underlines the paramount question for all concerned, from individuals to states and societies as well as institutions. How can we expect global peace and prosperity without making any change in the prevailing highly ineffective global governance? In fact, in many ways, our region is one of the victims of this poor global governance. Leaving aside this rather illusionary question, I would like to present the two immediate and specific challenges related to Afghanistan that will determine the future course. First and foremost is for the Taliban, who are in the driving seat, I would say, at the moment. To what extent they will keep their promises and pronouncements, remain disciplined and maintain unity within, provide a government which is honest, corruption-free, pro-development and pro-people, maintain friendly and win-win relations with other countries, and create a conducive environment for internal, regional, and global peace. Their success would mean introduction of a new paradigm in politics and international relations. Otherwise, they will also fail just like the US and its supported government or their own government in the past. For the US and its allies, the challenge is to genuinely recognize and accept that they have lost the war, and as a consequent, honor as well. That money, power, and perception management have limitations. In the final analysis, these cannot genuinely win hearts and minds without a just policy. They will have to accept that each country and society has its own value system and social dynamics for which they should be wholeheartedly accepted. And I would emphasize wholeheartedly accepted. Powerful countries need to come up with an honest, judicious, humane, and win-win approach to deal with conflicts and issues. Until now, the response from the American-led alliance and their associates is that of raising apprehensions about the future of Afghanistan, promoting panic and fear, and even withholding financial assets of the Afghan government. This doesn't signal any attempt to help create a conducive and positive scenario. This would mean no new approach in their relations with Afghanistan and other hot spots in the world, and continuation of hostilities. It is, however, good to see that China and Russia, the two important global players neighboring our region, though cautiously, but are making positive overtures. If they continue in the same direction, the emergence of a repeat scenario in Afghanistan seems to me very unlikely. And it should mean a better and conducive environment for greater cooperation in the region. Nevertheless, the political game for increased influence and exploitation of resources and opportunities associated with peace in Afghanistan will continue to be a tense matter. Thank you very much. I hope I haven't exceeded my time limit.
No, thank you very much, Dr. Rahman. This is the most interesting presentation you have made. Greatly appreciate your valuable contribution, and I hope many of the issues you have touched upon can be discussed later, assuming we would have enough time. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.